Thou changest not thy may be seated. Let us confess our faith using the ecumenical version of the Apostles' Creed. I believe in God, the Father Almighty, creator of heaven and earth. I believe in Jesus Christ, his only Son, our Lord, who was conceived by the Holy Spirit, born of the Virgin Mary, suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, died, and was buried. He descended to the dead. On the third day he rose again. He ascended into heaven, is seated at the right hand of the Father, and will come again to judge the living and the dead. I believe in the Holy Spirit, the holy universal church, the communion of saints, the forgiveness of sins, the resurrection of the body, and the life everlasting. Amen. O God, breathe on us, so that we may be filled with your Spirit and led by your living word, Jesus Christ, our Lord.
We have received the gift of the Holy Spirit and have peace with God through Jesus Christ. God's love has been poured into our hearts. Let us hear the word of the Lord.
The Old Testament reading comes from Numbers chapter 10, verse 33 through chapter 11, verse 9. So they departed from the mountain of the Lord on a journey of 3 days. And the ark of the covenant of the Lord went before them for a 3 days' journey to search out a resting place for them. And the cloud of the Lord was above them by day when they went out from the camp. So it was, whenever the ark set out, that Moses said, "Rise up, O Lord, let your enemies be scattered, and let those who hate you flee before you." And when it rested, he said, "Return, O Lord, to the many thousands of Israel." Now when the people complained, it displeased the Lord, for the Lord heard it, and his anger was aroused. So the fire of the Lord burned among them, and consumed some in the outskirts of the camp. Then the people cried out to Moses, and when Moses prayed to the Lord, the fire was quenched. So he called the name of the place Taberah, because the fire of the Lord had burned among them. Now the mixed multitude who were among them yielded to intense craving. So the children of Israel also wept again and said, "Who will give us meat to eat? We remember the fish which we ate freely in Egypt, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic. But now our whole being is dried up. There is nothing at all except this manna before our eyes." Now the manna was like coriander seed, and its color like the color of bdellium. The people went about and gathered it, ground it on millstones, or beat it in the mortar, cooked it in pans, and made cakes of it. And its taste was like the taste of pastry prepared with oil. And when the dew fell on the camp at night, the manna fell not. The New Testament reading comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 1 through 13. Moreover, brethren, I do not want you to be unaware that all our fathers were under the cloud, all passed through the sea. All were baptized into Moses in the cloud and in the sea. All ate the same spiritual food, and all drank the same spiritual drink. For they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ. But with most of them, God was not well pleased, for their bodies were scattered in the wilderness. Now these things became our examples, to the intent that we should not lust after evil things, as they also lusted. And do not become idolaters, as were some of them. As it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink, and rose up to play. Now nor let us commit sexual immorality, as some of them did. And in one day, 23,000 fell. Nor let us tempt Christ, as some of them also tempted, and were destroyed by serpents. Nor complain, as some of them also complained, and were destroyed by the destroyer. Now all these things happened to them as examples, and they were written for our admonition, upon whom the ends of the ages have come. Therefore, let him who thinks he stands take heed, lest he fall. No temptation has overtaken you, except such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able, but with the temptation will also make the way of escape, that you may be able to bear it. This is the word of God for the people of God.
Thanks be to God. Okay, today's gospel comes from John, where Jesus said that I'm the good shepherd. Okay, and then you all know the story. Let us rise and read it together. Then Jesus said to them again, most assuredly I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. All who ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. I am the door. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved, and will go in and out and find a pasture. The thief does not come except to steal and to kill and to destroy. I have come that they may have life, and that they may have it more abundantly. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd gives his life for the sheep. But a hireling, he who is not the shepherd, one who does not know the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees. And the wolf catches the sheep and scatters them. This is the gospel of our risen Lord.
Praise be to you, Lord Jesus.
Amen. Special hymn. He touched me. Let's sing together. Gentle while every burden, leave the golden guilt and shame. In the hands of Jesus, was complaining and rebellion and all the number, the book of Numbers. Its nickname is Book of Murmuring. They always complaining and it's all kind of thing happen. So it's 40 years in the wilderness. We are in the wilderness. This world is not our home. Okay, our home is the heaven. Okay, we are all the sojourners. We are all the travelers in this world toward the heaven. Amen. Okay, so we can learn many lessons from their experience of Israeli people. Okay, so let's go by one. Let us pray first. Oh Lord, thank you for beautiful day, and oh Lord, thank you for gathering us here to worship you and to listen to your word. Oh Lord, open our ears to hear and bless us, shine upon us, and heal us, and encourage us, grant us the assurance and the joy being your people. Oh Lord, thank you. Thank you, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, let us think about the first lesson is that stop complaining. That's always murmuring and rebellion, and they saw many great things. Okay, the Red Sea parted. It's a Red Sea parted. Okay, the 10 disasters and they came upon the Egyptian land, and also the grace that the Passover lamb they did not kill, and but all other Egyptian elders were killed, and they have so much grateful, and they have so much to praise God, but all they did 40 years is complaining, the rebellion, and things like that. So we need to, it's now becoming the season of gratefulness, thanksgiving, and we need to find the gratefulness and in our lives and every day. And think about all we have right now and all the beautiful things around us. Okay, I took the photo around our church. Okay, it's beautiful, okay? And a little windy, but it was very beautiful yesterday. And we need to be grateful, and in the spring up in our heart, how grateful we are. And we belong to God, and Jesus forgave us, and Jesus set us free from the sin and condemnation. As I told you last Sunday, like a woman caught on the side of adultery, and she was forgiven, and we are set free. Okay, there will be no condemnation. We are heading toward the heaven. So we should be grateful so many times, and 10,000 times we praise Him. Amen. Okay, so that's the first thing. And think about eat manna. Okay? And 40 years from the heaven, and the manna came down like a rain. And every morning, early morning, they gather and they ate. I think it's more like a cereal, okay? And nowadays, they ate. But I don't know, somehow I went to this pastor's wife's seminar that leader, speaker, was a kind of expert in the wilderness in Israeli land. And Israeli it's a manna in the John chapter 3. Jesus said that you all ate manna, but still you died. But I am the bread of life. Okay, and the bread of life, chapter 6, by the way, John. And if you eat this bread of life, eat me, okay, drink my blood and eat my flesh, and you will have eternal life. It means that Jesus is the manna, today's manna. Okay, we should eat manna every day. I told you, eating Jesus, it means we take Him as our Lord and Savior and meditate Him, how great He is, how faithful He is, how mighty He is, and how the intensity and the expanse of His love. We should meditate His character, and we should meditate His word. That's how we live, so that we can have strength and to overcome this world, to go on our journey every day. So Jesus is the manna, and we should eat Him every day and often and enough to meditate upon Him and gaze upon Him and how beautiful He is and how wonderful He is. So it's they ate manna like we need manna. Manna is the Jesus and His word. Okay, we should eat every day so that we can have a power and the strength to overcome the world. Amen. Okay, and then we should drink the water from the rock. Okay, in the wilderness, the greatest problem was water. Okay, then think about in the desert and no place to plant, okay, except some oases in the middle of the desert. Yeah, I had an experience, went to the Saudi Arabia, and we traveled one time to the oasis. It was a miracle. All of a sudden, it's everywhere is a horizon of sand. But suddenly, there is like a pond, or I think the size like our church. It's a pond, big pond, and the water springing from there, and the surrounding, it's all the trees growing. You know, it's a miracle in the middle of barren land. And anyway, it's but the situation is very serious for them. The problem, water problem, because the Israeli people, the population was about 2 million. And where they got the water in the desert place.